Welcome to Two Guys, Three Crowns, the podcast that talks about what it's really like to live in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm Sean, and with my fellow American Rodney, we break down the good, the bad, and the just plain weird. It's quite the journey, so join us for the ride.
I don't take coffee, I take tea, my dear. I like my toast done on one side. And you can hear it in my accent when I talk. I'm an Englishman in Linköping. What do you think? What do you think, Sean?
So what was that originally?
Before I butchered it, you mean? That was Sting. That's Englishman in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you know why? Do you know why I busted out with Sting?
Tell me why.
Because we have a very special guest today.
A guest in the house.
Do.
A guest in the house.
Yes. And he's a Brit, and he's abroad. He's a Brit abroad.
A Brit abroad.
And it's Gregg. We have Gregg with us today. Welcome, Gregg.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me.
Woo! You are. It's great to have you here with us. I'm sorry we couldn't do anything about the weather. I don't know how the weather is down there in Linköping, but it's like they repossessed the sun up here in Stockholm. How is the weather down there?
Super similar experience. It's very wet here today, so I'm just hoping it's temporary, and then we're back on track with summer again soon.
There we go. We get our another additional five nice sunny days of real. No, we're going to keep our fingers crossed for a good summer.
Just don't hope for sun, and then you're fine. Don't get
and
those
you can only be
expectations
happy.
up.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I'm getting a little tired of are people that say, "Oh, the plants need it. Oh, the grass needs it. Oh, the flowers need it." And it was like, "No, you don't understand. I need the sun." But yeah, we'll let the plants get their doing. Gregg, what brings you here to the land of questionable weather?
I mean, I guess lots of listeners are probably thinking I should be used to the weather as a Brit. We're not exactly known for our sun, are we? But to answer your question, I moved out to Sweden just over 2 years ago now because my girlfriend is Swedish. Well, my now sambo, and we did about 2 years of long distance after originally meeting in the UK, and she was coming back to do some studies here. And so then after about 2 years of hopping on a plane once a month, going between the two, we decided to make it official and move in together. So that brings me to Sweden.
Well, belated congratulations.
Thank you.
Now she's Swedish.
She is, yes.
Okay. All right. Wow.
She's from Småland.
Okay. So you are a love refugee. You joined the ranks of the transplants.
Exactly. I'm in good company, I think.
Yeah, there are quite. I think there's I know that I think American expats. I think it's supposed to be like 60,000 in Sweden.
Wow.
Mental. Which I know 5 of them. But are there? Now I do have a couple of friends, English friends that a couple that I work with, a couple that I met, but there's a large number of Brits abroad here too, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a fair statement to make, and the impression I get is that we do a bit of an exchange visit between us and the Swedes. So I heard some crazy statistic, like if you counted how many Swedes are based in London, it would make London the 4th biggest Swedish city or something based on Swedish population. So I think we have some kind of exchange program set up where we just take it in turns to tag your it and jump across the border.
Now, we found you, or I found you, we found you via social media on Instagram, and have saw postings. You have, and I'm going to say it's a very popular YouTube channel. I love the videos that you're putting up. When did that? How long have you been doing that?
Well, you're very kind. I wouldn't say very popular by any stretch of the imagination. But I started just over 2 months ago now. So back in March, I think it was one of these things that happens when pandemic gets on your brain and you have way too much spare time and decide you need some social interaction. And when I can't get it in real life, I turned to the internet and started, as you say, making these videos. Originally, the idea was just to, interview other people about their experiences in Sweden. And then I saw loads of people like yourself were already doing a great job of that. So I should stay off that territory. And then I started making these shorts. And as you say, a couple of people jumped in and seemed to enjoy them. And now I can't stop.
Yeah. Now you're in it to win it. When you say 2 months, I actually went in, took a look at the channel again, and I said, that can't be right, because it seems like you've been doing this for a lot longer. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, that's what it feels
Just
like. I was in there. Yeah, it just seems, you seem so comfortable with the media and the way that you're putting it forward. And as I'm looking at YouTube and I see it was like posted 2 months ago, and I was like, but there's got to be something older than that. There's got to be something, not like tapping the screen, trying to get it to refresh, but it's not. And it's like, well, but yeah, it's fun. It's a great format, and I think the topics that you're covering are great and interesting for people to go ahead and tune in.
Thanks very much. Yeah, you're super kind. As I say, there's no secret history. I haven't erased, 3 years of footage. That's what you see is what there is. So lots more ideas to come, I hope, if I can find them in my brain.
Okay. Now, do you have any background with any type of? I always get curious when people, because we're podcasters, and mainly because every time we've tried to do anything video wise, it's kind of a hit miss. But again, like the video portion of this, it is definitely a different animal. Have you done any type of like stage work or things like that, or did it just feel like a natural?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually. When I was I don't know, 12, 13, I did do a little bit of drama. Back in the days, where everybody either wants to be a footballer, a famous actor, a singer up on the stage. And before that dream got dashed, and I realized that actually I can't act to save my life. I then discovered YouTube for the first time. And I should level with you. Back then, I did create a separate channel, which I really hope does not exist on the internet anymore, because the content there does not deserve to be seen. But that was many years ago, and I really hope that something has improved since then. Otherwise, it deserved to be shut down.
Okay, now, I'm writing a note to go in and check for Gregg's old original
secret
stuff.
Secret accounts.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying anything.
But what is the hardest part of launching and running a YouTube channel in a pandemic? What is that like?
It's been super fun. It's been a really nice outlet to have, I think. But yeah, you're right. It does come with its challenges, and I think one of the things, and I'm sure this is the same when you're producing such a high quality show as you guys are, it comes back to you kind of or at least I underestimated quite how much time I was going to have to throw into this. So I'd been thinking about this for a good 3 months before I eventually said, okay, let's do it. Trying originally to find a co-host to do it with, because I was, as you say, a little bit skeptical about the idea of being able to run the show on my own. And then when I kind of explored all those avenues and found there was nobody that was either willing or had the time to do it, I thought I'm just going to have to jump in and do this myself. And I said, 2 videos a week, that sounds reasonable. That can't be too much time, right? And then I sat back down in front of the computer again and started editing and realized, this is a lot of time.
Yeah, filming it is one thing. It's having to go back and edit all that stuff that chews up time.
Exactly. And you've probably noticed I ramble a lot, so I have to cut out about 45 minutes of me just chatting absolute rubbish.
You'd have like a bloopers reel that's going to be a long bloopers reel.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would watch it.
But it is, what you're saying with regard to that promoting too, a lot of people just think that, okay, you do what you do, you put it out there, how hard can it be? Then again, it's, there's millions of people doing videos. There's millions of people doing, podcasts. and I've seen people go up and post 1, 2, 3 episodes of something and either run out of content because they didn't really think past 3 episodes,
then they start doing TikTok, or they're on Twitter. Next thing they know, Rodney can talk all about Twitter.
Twitter,
good,
the dark
good. I need
side.
someone that can.
Yeah, and TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, you had a friend of ours recently.
That's correct.
On there,
our buddy Archie.
Our buddy Archie. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Now, our friendship circle is spreading out. Now we have somebody north of the wall, and now we have somebody west. But that was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because it was my Sambo who found his TikTok and said, "Oh, you've got to talk to this guy. He's so funny." And then after we did the video that you're talking about together, where I talked to him about his experiences in kind of a longer form interview style. After that, he said, "Oh, I've uploaded some clips to my different social medias," and then I saw the episode that he'd done with you guys, and I thought, "Wow, this is a real full circle experience." So.
Yeah, Archie is good people. And what was funny was when we spoke with Archie, they were expecting. And now Archie is Papa Archie.
He is.
So it's kind of fun going around there. Linköping. I don't know, Sean, have you been down to Linköping?
I've been to a shipping, but I don't think it's been the Linköping.
Okay.
There's multiple shippings. No shipping, Linköping, all sorts of shippings. Him shipping.
That's true.
Yeah. The one, and I checked with my wife right before we came on, and I said, "Isn't that the place with the airplanes?" I was like, every time we drive by, it's seeing the airplanes mounted on and that never gets old. I think that's one of those things, like the little kid in us. It's like seeing army jets, military jets mounted up on the side of the road. I'm like, oh yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right. That is Linköping, and I have to say, it's quite surreal when you live here, because quite often the reason for the jets is because we have the big Saab base just down here. So very often they're testing military jets over the city at random times of the day or night. So you can wake up at 11 o'clock at night and hear some jet go over and wonder if it's time to hide in the cellar or something. Yeah, exactly. All good fun.
That's like that small print on the rental agreement for the apartment. Wait a minute, did it say anything
no
about
pictures
flybys?
Outside between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. on a weeknight.
Exactly. So that's good fun.
Now, when you went ahead and launched the channel, you said that you thought about you had been thinking about it and started, like, at least you went ahead and kind of researched it, looked into it a little bit. But what direction do you think? Have you noticed how many, like, Swedish lesson or Swedish word of the day or Swedish? I mean, there are so many different. There's a flood of different of media out there, of which the format that you have and the facts that you lift and bring forward. Where do you kind of see this going? Are you gonna do a road show? Are we gonna see the Gregg road show?
All over the country.
Yeah.
I think people will have enough of me way before that moment comes. But you raise a good question. I think, as I say, when I started, the thought was, I'll just talk about my experience of Sweden and my experience with the language, and then I had a little project that I did with Duolingo a few weeks back too, where they were talking about my journey as well, which was fun. And so I kind of thought, I'm just going to talk about how I learned Swedish, and then we'll leave it at that. But as you say, it's a super saturated market, so it feels like there's a lot of people that do it a lot better than I do. So I decided after that maybe it was time to branch out wider into some sort of differences between the UK and Sweden, and I notice a lot of my audience is either Swedish people based in Sweden or people that are new to Sweden. So it's I guess just trying to find different topics and ideas that I'm passionate about but that they find interesting as well. But I don't have a long-term game plan. I really wish I did. I get asked that a lot and I have no answer.
Yeah, Mike, you say it's a saturated market, but 3 years ago when I was moving here, it was like 2 channels that had any kind of real information. But I was living in London. So before, when I moved from the States to London, there's all sorts of stuff. There's like BBC content. There's all the YouTube videos of like, oh, the differences between the Brits and the Americans. Mm-hmm. And then I came here to Sweden and I'm like, okay, where is all that stuff? I need it. They're like, it's dark in November. I'm like,
great.
Oh, come on. It's dark at night. It can't be that bad.
Little did you know.
Exactly.
Roll on November.
Yeah. And after that is like dark in November, ... And you're trying to scroll down. Okay, but where's the solution link? Where's the solution link?
What comes after November? Does it ever end?
Yeah. Now you've been here a little over 2 years. We often touch on socializing. What the differences are as far as cultural, being Americans moving to Sweden and used to socializing and getting together and spontaneous and barbecues and parties and things like that. Back when we
used to socialize, of course.
Back when we used to. I mean, how do you find that experience, or how have you found that experience?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think. As I say, I have a bit like you described earlier. I have the love refugee experience, so I kind of had some insight into what I was getting into before I came. But having said that, I did find in the first few months it was quite difficult to find Swedish groups to be with. And what I mean by that is I missed a very small section of the story earlier on when I introduced myself. But when I first moved out to Sweden, I said to my girlfriend, I want to live on my own for a very short period of time so that I make my own friends here rather than just, jumping into your circles and gate crashing all of your parties and making you wish that you'd not invited me. And so I found this place on Blocket, and I was living. It was a place that I shared, a villa I shared with 2 other. They turned out to be Swedish people, but of course could have been from wherever. I had no idea. And then I thought, great, I'm going to go out and I'm going to jump into all of these groups and meet all these people. But every event I went to, every social activity, there were hundreds of expats or internationals who were in a similar boat to me, but finding the Swedes was a little bit harder. So I can definitely relate to the experience of it's a little bit different, isn't it, in terms of how you socialize. And you talked earlier about the fact that maybe in the States, for example, you can make a plan later today or tomorrow, and I think it's quite similar in the UK. Whereas here there is that stereotype that has some truth about the fact that maybe you need to plan ahead, and people know what they want to do with their next week, so you need to really kind of get into that groove if you want to be included.
Yeah, framförhållning. Like giving people, enough time to go ahead and check. Yeah, it's been a tough, and of course there are groups. I mean, there are, I don't know, Sean, what do you say, like 4 or 5 American expat groups?
Yeah,
on
the main
Facebook,
ones. There's
like
always
2
like
really
a new
active
one spinning off and all that. But across Meetup or like the Americans in Sweden kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, and there's a lot of people that move here. That have had the intent to kind of get away as well, that don't immediately join, expat groups or expat clubs because they want to try and assimilate as best they can, just all in, culture wise. And then they end up finding an expat group to recharge their batteries and give it another shot.
Yep. No, I think it's a good point. And the other thing is, you mentioned earlier, I live in Linköping, and here we of course have a big university. So my immediate thought process was, that's the place to go and meet other students that have come from abroad. Not that I was studying, but, just to try and meet others that maybe were also starting out and looking for their group, which felt like a good idea at first. But then I realized the friends I was making were on the famous Erasmus program, which meant they were only ever here for 6 months and then they were disappearing back off to their own countries. So I made some great friends for about 3 months and then had to start again.
Start all over.
It wasn't sustainable.
Yeah. It's almost like you got to have a short questionnaire before I go ahead and invest in this relationship, I'd like to know, will you be here longer than 3 months?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could have done with that.
Well, once you find those friends too, I mean, it's got to be a challenge for you as Brit abroad, you know, because I'm sure in Kent you guys have a strong pub tradition, you know, this always tends to be like the after work, you get out, you go to happy hour. There's this thing called happy hour. It's not just drinking after work, quote unquote, but that's where you meet your friends. Like you all kind of coalesce, you know, around a pint, and then you share stories and all that. But that kind of thing doesn't necessarily exist to that extent here in Sweden.
No, exactly. And I think the other thing is, obviously, in Linköping, it's a lot smaller than Stockholm. So the amount of people that are obviously out and about in a similar position is a lot more limited. We don't have the same kind of groups for, meetups in the main Instauratoriet or whatever at the weekend. Yeah. So as you say, it is a little bit more challenging. And I think, in terms of trying to just work out where people are meeting and where they're doing things. I remember talking to colleagues at work and saying, what are you guys doing tonight? Is there anything fun on? And the answer was always, we're going to go home and hang out and have some fika. Yeah. And I thought, well, I can't invite myself to your house, so I need another answer here.
Right. Yeah, and I think that kind of falls into where Swedes keep work life and social life very separate. And at least that's been my experience as well. So I've been told, and my experience as well is that, once the workday is over, boom, people go in their different, directions. Back home, you would typically go with the people you work with. You might, the 3 or 4 people, and just say, look, let's, go hang out. But hasn't been my experience here. It's kind of like, see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. See you tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, we have hours where we see each other, and then after that, I don't want to see you again for another 12.
Right.
I've been having to talk to you for 6 hours already. You want to go talk to me more? No, thank you.
Yeah, it's like you have a quota.
Here's
like
you have a quota for that extra hour.
Right. Exactly. And I can kind of relate, to be honest. I mean, for the first year that I was working in Sweden, I was learning Swedish, but I didn't really feel comfortable enough to throw many words out there. So I can imagine it was quite exhausting for them having to work and talk to me 8 hours a day in English. They probably thought, Jesus, I want to go home and take a break now. I need to recharge for the morning. So I don't want to see you again.
Right. Which a perfect solution would have been to go to a pub, So
alcohol loosens everyone up.
Right. You recently did posted a little video clip, and it was about 5 things that surprised you about Sweden. And this was, I think it was number 1. You had talked a little bit about work life. And the balance of how it is, as well as, when 4 o'clock rolls around or when 5 o'clock rolls around, it's like, beep, boom, gone, people are just gone. So I'm wondering if that kind of plays a little bit of a, that role there between, work life and private life. But number 2 on your 5 list talked about being handy. And it was funny because I had thought about this before, and I'm reminded constantly when I see my neighbors building stuff. But it wasn't until I watched your video, that it struck me again, which made me feel like, for one, super unhandy. It's, but it's true. I mean, I don't know how many of my neighbors have built decks onto their houses, or there's a guy that took his entire car apart up in our parking lot, and they're rebuilding stuff. For me, it's kind of like, if I got my screwdriver, I can probably do a little bit of something. But what about you, Sean? Have you noticed that at all?
Man, you have no idea. Like, I'm pretty handy. Like, I can do stuff around the house. I don't touch electricity, but other than that, I can fix most stuff. The problem I have here, as we've been texting earlier this week about, I have no idea what anything's called or where to get the proper parts. So I don't want to just like slap duct tape on the thing and be like, yeah, it's fixed. Just don't breathe on it. But coming from South Florida, there you don't do anything. You have a guy to do stuff for you. So you have your Windows guy, you have your floor guy, you have everyone's got a guy. They're always Cuban or almost always Cuban. You know, and that's what you do. That's how everything works. You just get a guy and you send a text message out to your text group. Hey, I have a new problem. I need somebody's guy to do something for me. And by the next day, you got a guy for that too. But here in Sweden, they're just like something will break, something minor in the house. And I'm like writing to the head of the BRF, the condominium association. And I'm like, yeah, okay, who's our vendor for, a dish or a washing machine? The door just broke on it. They're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, who's the guy? Who's the guy I talked to about the washing machine? You know what I mean? They're like, no, we don't do that. I'm like, well, now what do I do? So then the Google searches go off for a week.
And then after he Googles for a while, then he contacts me. Then I get an SMS, and Sean is like, hey, what's this called? Yeah. What's this part called?
This week was the blinds. What are the blinds inside the window called? What do you do that? The string just broke.
This is amazing though, because I've learned something new now. Next time I have a DIY problem, rather than spend time on Google, I'm just going to write to you, Rodney, and you can sort it out for me, or tell me someone that can.
Yeah, you know what's just go ahead and give me a holler, Greg. I will fix. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
There you go.
That's what I need.
But it is, and it's because I'm talking about major building stuff. I mean, like I said, people are, putting down foundations. They're building additions to stuff. Mm-hmm. I can fix like a squeaky door usually, but above and beyond that, it definitely makes you feel like, why didn't I have shop classes? When I was growing up, why didn't I have? Are you a handy person, Greg?
Not really, and I feel like this is why I first noticed this difference. Because I remember when I first visited Sweden, I was kind of shocked by the fact that if you go and visit some fat Swedish family for the weekend or something, you're either hanging out together having some sort of fika, or of course you're exercising together, or you're doing jobs. Or at least that was my experience. And I remember thinking, wow, I've never felt so incompetent before. I thought I could, do some sort of basics, but I really can't. I've got no idea what I'm doing. And then a bit like you said, Rodney, I then started thinking, well, where is the guy that I ring? Why isn't there must be a local handy guy you call. And then it hit me, there's a reason they need 4 to 5 weeks summer vacation, because there's just so many jobs that are piled up that need to be done.
Exactly. No, it's crazy. And then, being American, all of a sudden we automatically switch over to liability stuff. Oh, I can't touch that. Yes. That's a liability. If I fix it, somebody's going to sue me, or I'm going to sue somebody, and I'm going to own their house. No, but there's, it's like on a whole different scope and scale.
Well, that's just it, though. You're talking about people laying foundations. What's the code? I don't know the building code for that stuff. Where's the guy? Give me the guy to do that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, one thing that I realized too is, I don't know if you guys... You don't call the police. Like back home, you call the police. If there's somebody making noise, or there's neighbors having a rowdy party, or something like that, you just call the police. And I asked Lynn, I was like, hey, if that guy doesn't turn his stereo off, I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. I was like, I'm either going to go up there and start dancing, or, but I said, should I just call the police? And she's like, oh, no, you don't call the police. There's like and now I can't even remember what the name of it is, but there's like a problem phone number that you call. There's like some kind of arbitrator or in between person, let alone, but I'm down in Nynäshamn, right? So even if I call the cops and they have to drive down from Jokkmokk or wherever they're at, it's gonna be a couple of days wait.
But you can't use this problems number for fixing your washing machine then. That you have to solve yourself, right?
No, I tried that. That's another number. Another little funny thing that you brought up was candy consumption, and we have talked about that as well. I mean, that's the candy section of the store is unavoidable. Mm-hmm. It's and the candy consumption, where Swedes compared to the rest of the world, what was our body weight, or twice our body weight, or something?
Yeah, it's something crazy like that, and there were lots of Swedes correcting me in the comments saying you've overdone it a little bit, but I think it was about maybe half your body weight or something. It was a crazy amount of sweets each year.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, and I guess body weight is kind of, that's one of those subjective things, because half of my body weight in candy could probably kill a small farm animal, but. But what is your favorite Swedish candy?
I knew you were going to ask that. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
And I should have said outright at the beginning here, because I've realised there's lots of stories I've told that maybe give the impression that I feel like Sweden is so different and alien to the UK, and it's like this crazy like trend trying to get used to that. It's not like that at all. I love Sweden. I love being here, and one of the things I love most is the candy, and that's why it's almost like you're asking me to choose between my imaginary children when you ask me this question. It's just I just want Los Gordos, but I don't want to have to wait till Saturday to get them.
Right. Yeah. I think the danger there is becoming an adult with with an adult income and realizing, because I remember being little and visiting Sweden, and you got I think it was 5 crowns. That was what, your budget for Saturday. Here's your 5 crowns, fill up with candy. But, all of a sudden moving here and having a sweet tooth and being able to buy what could 3 kilos? I mean, how much could 3 kilos of candy weigh?
Do you have a favorite?
Okay, so I was going to say, all Swedish candy. My favorite Swedish candy. I'm kind of a bilar. I like cars. I like bilar is kind of my go-to. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a safe. It's everywhere. I think that if you like bilar, your chances of being someplace and not being able to find it are pretty low. But now, what about just a Swedish food? What's your favorite Swedish food?
Ooh, well, this is a good question. I don't want to just choose something really obvious. I feel like I need to come up with something, really. Well,
don't say kebab. You can't say kebab.
No, exactly. I mean, one thing that I didn't know existed till I came to Sweden was ugnspannkaka. If you've tried that before.
Ooh, yes.
So the whole idea of baking a pancake and filling it with bacon was totally foreign to me. But I'm not against it. It was good. And chuck some lingonberry jam on top and we're good to go.
Ooh. I don't know if Sean's had ugnspannkaka. We're going to have to make sure that it's basically a baking sheet or whatever pan, whatever the big baking pan is that comes with your oven.
Right.
You basically just turn that into a big Calvin and Hobbes pancake thing with pieces of apple and pieces of ham. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong.
And bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some weird toppings, man. Weird toppings, I got to tell you. But from the country that puts banana and pineapple and curry and chicken on a pizza, kind of goes right along with it.
I'm not sure I can get on board with that trend.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. Now, Gregg, what about a favorite? We've talked to a lot of people up here in Stockholm, and we've asked about tourist attractions and tourist spots. Now, somebody comes to visit you in Linköping. What would a favorite tourist spot be, or someplace that you definitely want to show them?
Sure. There's two that come to mind, and there's one that your friend Archie mentioned actually when we spoke, which is we have Gamla Linköping, so the old town here, which is just stunning, and it's just out in the corner of the city, just surrounded by some woodland. But they actually reconstructed different parts of the town and brought it together in this new space. And it's beautiful. I think apart from Stockholm, it's like the best preserved Gamla stan that you can visit in the country. So that would be number one. And they have loads of little, not hardware stores, but like little handy stores for different crafts and things, that kind of thing. And then apart from that, just outside the city, we have Bergslussa, which is on the Göta Canal. There's a section of the canal where there's 12 or 13 different locks that go down in a staircase to the edge of a lake, and that's just beautiful in the summer.
Yeah.
Have you been?
That's awesome. I think I actually had an ice cream there.
Nice.
I think we actually stopped there, and sitting there having ice cream, trying to watching them do the sluice part of that was pretty amazing. And I was actually gonna ask you. I know that Cloetta.
Yes.
But is that Linköping, or is that that's also?
Yeah, it's just outside of Linköping in Ljungsbro. And then we have in Gamla Linköping, there is a Cloetta store. So I realized after you asked me the candy question, I should have said, just throw me in the Cloetta store and I can spend thousands of crowns very easily.
Exactly. Lock me in.
Center. Yeah, exactly.
Lock me in. Gregg, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to go ahead and put up a couple of links, and we definitely, people should go in. If you haven't been on, if you haven't seen what Gregg is putting up, take a look. His videos are great. Go ahead and subscribe on Instagram. We are going to keep in touch, and we'll see if we can go ahead and do this again, or it might be time for another road trip, Sean.
Ooh, more crossovers.
Yes. Gregg, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.
That is it for this week, everybody. We want to give a big Two Guys, Three Crowns thank you to Gregg for stopping by. Make sure to check him out on YouTube and Instagram. Just do a quick search for Just a Brit Abroad. We'll put the links in the description of the episode as well, so you can check them out. And then come back here next time for more Two Guys, Three Crowns.